Let's look at the swing of PGA Tour player Grant Waite. Tiger Woods said that he believes that Grant Waite has one of the best swings in golf. Now let's look at some of the key fundamental positions of the golf swing. But instead of starting at the one position, at the setup, we're going to begin at impact. The impact position is known as the seventh position, also known as the moment of truth. That's because the golf ball only responds to one thing, and that's the laws of physics and motion that exist at the moment of impact. The golf ball is on the face of the club 4 milliseconds. Everything the ball does, the speed of the ball, the launch angle, the initial direction of ball flight, the curve of the ball, everything was caused by the club's position and motion during those 4 one-thousandths of a second. The truth is, if you want to control the golf ball, you must control the club during impact. The club's position at impact is caused by the player's position at impact. And everything a player does prior to impact is done to consistently achieve a correct impact position. Let's look at some of the keys to a fundamentally sound impact position. To begin with, we're going to look at the full swing fundamentals using an iron while the ball is on the ground. First, we notice that this left arm and shaft are in a straight line and tilted towards the target. The hands are in front of the golf ball. Every fundamental in the golf swing is tied to one key objective, and that is to hit the ground with effective precision every time. There are few absolute fundamentals, but one of the absolute fundamentals is that every pro controls the low point of their swing, and they place that low point of their swing in front of the ball. When a golf ball is on the ground, you cannot hit it solid unless you hit down on it. You must hit the ball before the swing reaches its lowest point. You cannot place the low point of the swing in front of the ball, and you cannot hit down on the ball unless the hands are in front of the ball and the shaft is leaning towards the target. Now let's look at the weight shift. I've drawn a yellow line from the bottom of the ankle straight up, and that line passes right through his belt buckle. The average pro has 85% of their weight on the left foot at impact. The low point of your golf swing is correlated to the location of the center of your body mass. If you can get more of your body mass on that left side, it makes it easier to put the low point of your golf swing in front of the golf ball. It's easy to see how Grant Waite is driving through the ball and towards the target. You can see how his legs are angled as he's driving forward. He has certainly more weight on his left foot than his right. His right foot is leaving the ground and is kind of banking. His outside of that shoe is lifting up. Your golf swing is a circle, and in order to control the golf ball, you must try to control your golf circle. This line from the left arm through the shaft is the radius of that circle. The left arm is extended in order to have a constant radius. The golf swing also has to have a center of the circle. One of the reasons that you'll see the spine tilted back a little bit is that the head is the center of this circle, and it must remain stationary so that the circle stays still as the club swings around the circle. You drive the lower body under the still head. Now let's look at the fundamentals of the other positions of the golf swing and see how they're linked to the fundamentals of impact. Okay, Tony, I'm going to review some of the missing fundamentals in your swing. We're going to begin at the most important position, and that is the impact position. First, let's look at the left arm and the club's position at impact. Grant has an extension in his left arm and the shaft, and they're on the same line, and they're tilted and leaning towards the target. His hands are in front of the golf ball at impact. Your left arm has a little bit of a bend at the elbow, and you're almost vertical with the shaft at impact. What this means is your low point of your arc is right where the ball is located on the ground, and the tendency will be to hit behind the ball sometimes, or hit it very thin sometimes. Grant has positioned his hands in front of the ball so that the low point of his golf swing is in front of the golf ball, which assures that he's going to be hitting down into the golf ball, which is what you want to do with an iron and the ball is on the ground. In the next several sessions, we will make adjustments to your swing so that you can arrive at impact with the correct arm and club position. Now we're going to look at your weight distribution at impact. Grant, and like all PGA Tour players, will have about 85% of their weight on the left leg at impact. This yellow line is drawn from the center of his ankle straight up, and it passes right through his belt buckle. He has moved the majority of his weight on top of his left leg at impact. You are at impact with your majority of your weight behind the left leg. Very little of it is on the left leg. You're flat-footed, where Grant is, his back foot is off the ground. Again, we will work on the drills and the changes in order for you to have this impact position, where you will learn how to shift your weight to that left leg at impact. Now, you won't have to learn every single fundamental at the same time. We're going to build your swing in pieces, and we will build them in the correct sequence. Now, everything you do prior to impact, the starting position, the backswing, the downswing, everything is done so that you can have the correct impact position. So let's review some of those other positions prior to impact. Here you are at the start of the swing, the one position. First, we're going to look at your stance. One of the things that Grant does that facilitates a weight shift to the left side during the downswing is he will flare his left foot out a little bit, which helps support the weight shift to the left leg. If the foot is too square, the weight tends to roll to the outside of the ankle, which is uncomfortable, and your body will resist it. When you flare the foot, it's a better position to support that weight. Now let's look at the arm and club position. Grant, his left arm is extended, and it's in the same line, almost in the same line as the shaft of the club. In a sense, Grant has started his swing and he's set up almost in a little mini impact position. At impact, he'll have a similar look in the left arm and the shaft. In your setup, you do not have that kind of extension that Grant does. This will be one of the first things we adjust in our next session. Here we are in the 3 position. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground. You can see in Grant's swing, his left arm is very extended, just like he started it. He has hinged his wrist and the club is going up in the air. Your arm is somewhat straight, but it's not quite the same extension. And a lot of that is because of the grip that you use. And we're going to adjust the grip, which will make extension much easier. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how to hinge that wrist a little bit better so that you have power A lot of power in the golf swing comes from the hinging of those wrists. Toward the end of our session, we talked about that, and this got a lot better. Now we're at the top of the backswing, and Grant has still maintained a good extension in his arm. He has a nice right angle from the shaft and the arm. He has turned his shoulders quite a bit. You haven't turned your shoulders as much. It's important also to notice Grant has maintained his weight on the left side as he has rotated around. As he's turned in his backswing, he still has his weight on his left leg, more on his left than his right. Everything he's doing is in preparation for impact. And you have moved actually a little bit further away from your left foot in the backswing, where Grant has actually moved closer to his left foot during the backswing. So we're going to work on that move. There's some drills that you'll be doing to learn this feeling of staying on the left and moving to the left. This is the sixth position. This is the one right before impact. And first I want to talk about the hands and arms. The sixth position is when the club is parallel to the ground. And one of the things that you're doing fairly well here is you have held this angle a little bit between your arm and your club, and you have your right elbow kind of tucked in your side, just like Grant does. That's a good power position. Now Grant has held a little bit more of an angle in his wrist, which gives him more power to unload into the golf ball. When you dispense this angle, when you release that angle too early, then you throw away energy that can't be used to hit the ball with. If you hold that angle, you hold the energy, you hold the power, and you save it for impact. And so with less arm speed, you end up hitting the ball further. But that's a very sophisticated fundamental that we will eventually add to your swing after we get the base fundamentals done first. The main thing that we're going to work on in order for you to have a better sixth position is your weight shift. I want to get you much more to the left side shifting, so your knees are leaning, you're driving with your lower body, you're turning and sliding more to the left with your lower body. There's some drills that we're going to do where you'll learn that feeling. Now we're in a post-impact position, the ninth position. This is when the right arm is parallel to the ground. You can see how Grant has still a very extended arm. If we look at his left arm, it also is extended. His elbows are close together. His wrists have crossed. In fact, you can see his left hand under his right hand. You can see that white glove there. Your left arm is bent at the elbow. This elbow has separated from the other arm. Your elbows are kind of flying apart and not staying close together. A lot of this has to do with the lack of hip turn and lower body action. Your upper body position, the upper body look, will begin to form the same shape and look of Grant once we get your lower body moving correctly. As we focus on the lower body, you can see how Grant's right pocket has moved and turned. His belt buckle is facing the target, and you're basically still facing the ground here with your belt buckle. You haven't really turned and gotten off this back foot. once you learn to get off this back foot so that your weight is on this left leg, everything will start to fall into place for you. Now we're in the 10th position, and you can see how Grant is solid on his left leg, standing tall. Almost 90% plus is on his left leg. He's on the tip of his toe and the back foot. You're still flat-footed here. You're trying with your upper body to get in that position. You're trying to finish with facing the target, but your lower body has locked up and is preventing you from having a full body release to the target. The last thing we worked on toward the end of the session was getting off of this back foot. And I did not videotape some of those new swings where you worked on that piece, but you did have some very good progress in getting off that back foot. We will continue to make those improvements in our next session. Okay, Gwen, now let's look at your full swing. And we will begin at the 7th position, the impact position, which is the most important. Everything the ball does is a direct response to what the ball and club look like at impact. As we compare your position to Grant Wade, let's start at the stance and the feet. Grant has his left foot flared a little bit. You do a little, but I might want to do that a little bit more when we adjust your swing. When I look at Grant's right arm and shaft, the angle between the shaft and the right arm, I see a very similar position that you have. You've done an excellent job of getting those hands in front of the golf ball at impact. That's very good. When I look at your weight shift on the downswing all the way up to impact, Grant has shifted more weight. He has about 85% of his body weight on his left leg at impact. This green line is drawn from his ankle right up through his belt buckle. So he has the majority of his weight on his left side at impact. You still have too much weight on your back foot. This is one of the things that we will work on in the sessions to come. Now we're at the beginning of the swing. First, we're going to look at the straight line extension that Grant has in his left arm and shaft. He's kind of in that little mini impact position at the beginning of the swing. You also have a nice extension in the left arm, and the shaft is leaning forward. You are in a very similar position to Grant. Very pleased with that. Your stance is a little bit wider than Grant's, and I am going to adjust that slightly. I'm going to bring it in just a few inches, not a lot, but I would like to get your feet a little bit more underneath you and not too wide there. Setup looks really good there. The only thing that I'm going to work on most in your setup is the grip. We're going to make sure that the way you grip the club with your hands is going to facilitate a good golf swing. Here we are in the 3 position, and we can see how Grant has that nice extended left arm. He almost has a right angle in the shaft of the club in the left arm. He has hinged his wrist upward to create a lot of power in his hands. And the line from your elbow to the wrist and the club is basically a straight line. So in this swing, you did not have very much wrist hinge. Now, later in our session, we talked about how to properly hinge the wrist, and you started doing that much better. I did fail to get a video of that swing and that improvement, but I know that the wrist hinge was much better at the end of the session. In our next session, I'll be videotaping that swing, and we will see a big improvement there, I'm confident of. Now we're at the top of the backswing. Grant has taken his club a lot further back than you have and has loaded his hands even a little bit more for more power. Your fourth position isn't much further back than your three position, and that's mainly because of your grip and not knowing how to properly hinge your wrist. One of the good things that you're doing I like a lot is the shoulder turn. Grant has his shoulders turned quite a bit, and you have your shoulders turned quite a bit. So you're making a good upper body coil and turning your shoulders properly. I like that a lot. And so that's going to serve you well as we add these other pieces. In terms of your weight distribution in the backswing, Grant has maintained his weight on his left leg, and you still have not moved to your left leg. You still have the majority of your weight behind your left foot. I want to show you some drills where you can learn how to start with your weight on your left and how to maintain and keep it on your left in your backswing, and then how to move it to the left on your downswing. Now we're in the sixth position. This is when the club is parallel to the ground. You can see how Grant's hands, when his club reaches parallel, his hands are right in front of his right thigh. And your club reaches parallel much sooner than that. Your hands have not traveled as far in the downswing before your club has reached parallel. This is an indication that you never really loaded your hands in the backswing. You never got that right angle to begin with, and therefore your club will reach parallel much sooner. And that is an energy source, that is a power source that you're not going to have when you hit the golf ball. So until you learn how to load your hands and unload the hands at impact, you won't hit the ball as far as you're going to be capable of. So we're going to learn how to correctly use our hands during a golf swing so that we can hit the ball further. The main thing we'll work on is that weight shift. Again, it'll be part of the overall theme of all of the drills and the work that we do in our next session. We'll be learning how to feel our weight move to the left, move towards the target. Grant is in that sixth position. He almost has the 85% of his weight on his left side. Even before he gets to impact. So we're going to learn how to do that move. We're going to be doing some impact drills where you preset on the left and hit from that position. Now we're in the ninth position. This is when the right arm is parallel to the ground. And you can see how Grant's arm is fully extended. His left arm is extended. His elbows are close together. His wrists are crossed. You can see his left hand underneath the right hand through the white glove here. Your left arm has been at the elbow. Your elbows have kind of separated. Your left elbow has swung behind your body and doesn't stay in front. That's a very common position that I see a lot in beginning golfers. So we will learn how to make this move correctly with some of the drills. The main reason that your upper body and your left arm separate the elbows is because of the lower body is not moving properly. Once I get you moving off this back leg, getting your weight on that left side, turning your hips towards the target, facing the target in this position, you can see how Grant's right pocket is turned His hips have turned. You're still flat-footed, and so once we get the lower body to move and we turn and release the body towards the target, then you will be able to keep that left arm extended and the elbows close together. Now we're at the end of the swing, the 10th position, the final pose. You can see how Grant is in that classic pose position the pros have, where they're standing tall, looking at the target, facing the target. All parts of their body are facing the target. They're solid on their left leg. 90% and more of their weight is on the left side. The back foot is off the ground on the tip of the toe. Your feet are still flat-footed. We haven't worked on this move. We did a little bit on the end of the session. I didn't videotape those swings at the very end. And so you did make good progress at learning to get off that back foot as we worked on this final pose position. And we will continue that work, and your lower body will continue to improve. As you improve your lower body, that will help the upper body get in the right position as well. During this review of your swing, I covered a lot of different missing fundamentals. You're not going to have to learn all of these fundamentals at the same time. We're going to build your swing in the correct sequence, one piece at a time. Most of the focus will be on getting a good setup, getting a good grip, learning how to hinge the wrist properly, and learn how to maintain your weight on that left side.